Hey everybody, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this really cool window card. It has a 3-inch cutout and then layers of designer series paper from the Birthday Fiesta stamp set and from the Fiesta Time designer series paper. Also had the llama on the inside, and the greeting is from the Better Together stamp set, which has a lot of really great greetings for many different occasions. So if you have happen to have the label square layering framelits, then all you would do with this is just put your piece of cardstock down, put your 3-inch square, run it through the Big Shot, and it'll eliminate everything from hereafter, except for the when we do the layering parts, but it'll make it easier for you. However, if you don't happen to have it yet, as I don't, this is going to be your alternative. Jeez, tongue-tied. So this is cut. We're going to be using, a background of garden green. So garden green is our base, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, and then our layer this time is going to be Melon Mambo, 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to line this up with the 1/4 inch mark on the inside of the cutter here, okay? And we're going to be cutting from 1/2 inch to 3 1/2 inches, okay? And we're going to turn it, put this on the 1/4 inch mark again, and once more we're going to be cutting from 1/2 inch to 3 1/2 inches. We're going to turn this around the other way, and we're going to put this on the 1/4 inch mark here. Okay, let me just lay this down, and it's easier if you start from the bottom to the top for this one to make sure you're even. So cut from 3 1/2 to 1/2 inch. Right there we go. And then here we're going to turn this down now so we can get the bottom part. We're going to put this in at 3 1/2, and one final time we're going to cut from 1/2 inch to 3 1/2 inches, and you should pop out your square. Might take just a teeny bit of fiddling with. Oop, but there you go. All right, let's get this out of the way. So now you can see this is going to layer perfectly on top of this, okay? So we're going to use garden green and Melon Mambo. We're going to need a piece of scrap of white. And I'll say this doesn't really have to be exact because you're going to have a lot of layers covering it up, but you want to have something that's at least big enough that you can stamp something on and then cover up with. So I'm going to just trim this. I'm just going to eyeball it. That's probably about 2 3/4 by 2 1/2. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp our inside, and instead we'll use the llama just to make it a little bit more fun. We'll do this in early espresso. Let me put the llama on here. And it doesn't really have to be anywhere specific. As you can see from this card here, let me move this stuff out of the way for now. Just kind of want him to be slightly centered on the card. Doesn't have to be anywhere specific. Okay, and then we'll add in, let's see, put his little back rug on him, and we'll make his rug, how about we'll go with Pacific Point so it's nice and bright. I'm going to just fill this in with the marker. So you just slide your marker over top and give it a huff. And then place that right on there. Okay. And of course, we need a little bit more decoration than that because just the llama with his rug on isn't entirely exciting. So how about if we put these little flowers? Let me see. So we'll do this. We'll do one in, how about crushed curry? It's a nice southwestern color. So we'll do a crushed curry up here. Okay. And why not, while we're at it, we'll do a real red, and we're going to do a pumpkin pie, I think. Yeah, we'll do pumpkin pie, because I think Tangerine Tango was a little bit too dark. All right, so pumpkin pie. Put this one over a little bit. And real red. And this stuff, like I said, it doesn't really have to be anywhere specific. Let's see if it looks better out or in. We'll do one out this way. Just to slightly get it in there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just gives a little bit more visual interest. You can even put a little bit of a 1/2 one over here. Okay. And let's see. How about if we give little llama here his little sash. Put that in real red. Okay. And, you know, you could use totally different colors for this, so don't feel like you have to stick to what I've done, that's for sure. There's a multitude of colors you could do. But the only other thing I'm going to do, just quickly, is I'm going to just fill him in just with a little bit of color because he looks a little bit stark. There. So I'm going to squeeze my Crumb Cake pad, create a little pool, and I'm going to use my aqua painter and just give him a little bit of coloring on the inside. Be careful here with your real red so you don't drag that up into your llama. But otherwise than that, you can go around just around his edges. A little bit, make him a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. Totally up to you. Highly doubt we're going to see his feet, but I'm going to add a little shadowing underneath just in case, give him a little shadow. And let me wipe my brush off here. And I'm just going to blend this blue just a smidgy, just to give it a little bit of a worn look. Okay, so that's it. Totally optional. You don't have to do that either. Alright, so now what we're going to do, let me get all this stuff moved over. So now we're going to decide which pieces of designer series paper we're going to use. So again, you can be very, very anal and completely measure this, but as I did from my first card, it didn't really need to be done that way because you didn't end up seeing all of it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice across this just to get this piece off, and I'm going to cut it into a square. Alright, so this will be one, and let's see what other papers we want to use. We'll definitely use the cactus because that's pretty fun, so we're just going to cut off a little piece here. And same thing again, we'll just cut off a little piece there. And one more, how about, oh, this is really fun paper, we'll do this one. So make this our biggest one, so maybe about three by, or 2.5 by 2.5, it doesn't have to be precise. Okay, so what I did now, and this is where it is fairly easy, is I cut these corner to corner, just like so, and then I cut them in half. Okay, so the very first time I did this, I started with the smallest, and it ended up that you really couldn't see it. So what I've found is that if you start with the biggest pieces that you have, so for me it'll be those little hanging decorations, and decorate smallest, it actually will make the pictures or the images on the designer series paper show up better. Alright, so first of all, let's do this. And what we have to do is you have to put your piece down and eyeball approximately where you want your centerpiece to be. So I'm going to put this here, and since my centerpiece is a little bit bigger, he's probably going to have to go underneath slightly. So I'm going to put some tape on the back of him. Okay, and I'm just going to set him there. I'm not pushing him down yet. And then figure about where I want my Melon Mambo to go. Just pull him up just a tad. Okay, so that's about centered for me. So we'll get him down. So then we're going to take our biggest pieces, which are going to be the ribbon. So we're going to take all 4 ribbon pieces, turn them over, and just put some snail. And we're just going to layer. And this is pretty much it. So what I did for the first one is I kind of made like a square frame around it. Doesn't have to be close at all. And you don't want to really push it down yet, just in case you end up having to move it. So just kind of set it there. You want to make sure that you don't get too large also, just because of your frame. So that's why I said if you want to, you could do this full length so it covers it up. Totally up to you. I'm going to move this one just a smidge. Okay, so now we're going to come in next. We'll do, I'm going to do the stripes next because they are biggest. I think my absolute favorite pattern on this is these stripes. I just love them. So this one we kind of did opposite. So it still have some of this peeking through, and this is why I said on the side you want to make sure You don't put it down too tight because you're definitely going to need to trim here at this point as well. And you want to leave some of your stuff peeking. You can move it out farther if you don't like it. So it's kind of towards the edge there. So you're just barely covering up. That way you have a lot of your underneath paper. Totally up to you. You can do this whatever way you like. All right, and then the last one is going to be with the 4 cactus pieces. Okay. And again, so this one I just kind of fit in wherever I could see it. It was kind of just like an extra layer. You could just do 2 layers if you don't want to do all these layers, you know, whatever, it's up to you. It's your card. And then you can see your little square framelit is going to fit right over top of that, okay? So the only thing we have to do now is a little bit of trimming. So what I did is I just kind of folded. I knew these pieces were going to be bigger, so these I trimmed, but this little one here is going to be a little bit larger than I thought too, so I'm just going to scoot him just in just a teeny bit more. All right, so I'm going to cut this guy off here, cut the corner. I'm going to cut the corner on this side as well. And I'm going to cut the top. The bottom you're not going to notice because it has a huge coverage piece here. Okay, and let me get this one just a hair more. Let me get out my tiny scissors. Okay. And the only other thing is I did put dimensionals on the back of this because I thought it would be more fun, give it a little bit of lift. But before I get ahead of myself, let's do one more thing. Let's put a little bit of something fun on the front of this. So how about if we use Melon Mambo, so it'll be tone on tone, and we'll use the big flower again. Okay, so we're just going to randomly stamp this flower all over the front. You can put some up here if you want. Okay. All right, and then one other thing before we get ahead of ourselves. We'll stick with the Melon Mambo, and we're going to stamp. We'll do the same thing again, wishing you the happiest of birthdays, because this was kind of fun the way I did it. So what I did was I stamped this, and then I just trimmed it so it fit exactly to the stamp. So that was pretty neat. All right, so what I did is I cut my image pretty close to the bottom, and then I just trimmed up to the very edge of the words. You could do this, you could sponge the edges of this if you wanted a little bit something extra. Let's go here. Okay, let's get all this out of the way, and we're just going to put this up on dimensionals as well. Okay. Kind of almost does make it look like a Polaroid or a photo booth. All right, now I did put a little bit more dimensionals than I normally would on this because I didn't want it to come off, or for people to be able to peek and kind of steal the magic of the card. So these are more than I normally would do. All right, and we're going to just place that right on there. Just like so. You can add yourself a little, grab my trimmer, piece of Whisper White on the inside. It's just a full-size piece here, so we're going to cut this at 5.5. Trim it to 4. And then take this to 5.25. Okay, and this is going to be our inside piece. And how about if we put a couple of, hold on, cactus. We'll use Emerald Envy. nice. And then on this one, we'll put in the Fiesta like there's no manana, and we're going to keep that in Emerald Envy as well. And I always will tell you this, I highly recommend do not put the inside of your card in there, because I can't tell you how many times my hand has ink on it and I goop it up. So don't adhere it until you make sure you stamp it, because you can always flip it over and use the other side. Right there. How cute is that? Very nice. So Melon Mambo on Garden Green or Crushed Curry on Pacific Point. Hope you like both of these cards. This is definitely a lot more action going on. If you don't like that, you can always cut down on the amount of designer series paper that you use if you don't like it. But this is such a really fun stamp set. It's meant to be fun and outrageous and crazy. And, you know, if you can't be fun and outrageous and crazy every once in a while, what's the point? Thank you guys for taking time to watch. I really appreciate it. I'd love for you to follow along with me on YouTube at Rach the Stamper. You can find me on Pinterest at Rach the Stamper. You can follow me on Periscope at Golf Girl, but I believe you can also find me under Rach the Stamper. And if you want to get any of these supplies and everything else in my online store, go to rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Thanks for taking time to watch, and if you have a comment, I'd love to hear it. Thanks. Bye.